Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing a book recommendation video from a previous non-reader. So basically I have never been super into books. When I was a kid I read, but as I got older I would never read books unless it was required for school. So for the past few years I have basically never read a book on my own terms. But recently, over the past about year, I would say, I have become a reader and I've read like 10 books so far this year, which is a lot considering I never used to read. So today I'm going to be talking about the books that got me into reading and the books I've enjoyed ever since I started becoming a reader. So first, I'm going to start off with the books that actually got me into reading, which is the Shadow and Bone trilogy. So there is a show on Netflix of the Shadow and Bone trilogy and it has some of Six of Crows tied in. I'll talk about this next. But I watched the show and I loved it and I wanted to learn more about the characters and read more and hear about them more. So after the show, I got the books and read them all really fast. So first, I'm going to give a brief summary on Shadow and Bone. I am really bad at giving summaries and I don't want to spoil anything, so I apologize in advance. So basically, the general premise of Shadow and Bone is there's this girl named Alina and she's a soldier, and it turns out that she has to go across the Shadowfold, which is basically this void of darkness, and there's monsters in it, and many people who go through don't survive. So she has to go through on this journey, and as she's going through it, she discovers she has a power that she did not know she had. So now that she knows she possesses this power, she's going to enter a world of royalty and live in the palace, and she's going to basically live as royalty as she tries to learn this power she has newly been brought aware of. And she ends up teaming up with the Darkling, who is the leader of her country, and he believes that her power can destroy this darkness of monsters. So she has to learn how to master her power as she's getting closer with the Darkling. And a bunch of things happen, there's threats to the kingdom, and she discovers some things that she did not know before, and chaos erupts, and her nation is basically, there's a threat to her nation. And she has to see if she can save her nation while learning this new power. I'm not going to talk too much more about this because I don't want to accidentally spoil it. And the same goes for the next two in the trilogy, Siege and Storm and Ruin and Rising. These basically follow along the same story, so I'm not going to be summarizing those because it would technically be a spoiler if I talked about those. But they all followed the same story and I highly recommend them. They got me into reading. I read them really fast. They were so good. And these books are by Leigh Bardugo. So next I will be talking about the Six of Crows duology. I love this so much. This is like my baby. I love these books more than anything. So these books are also by Leigh Bardugo and they follow along the same universe as the past three. And this happens, I believe, a year or two after the other three. So we are introduced to new characters in the books, and some of these characters were in the show because they kind of tied the two together, but this follows an amazing story. Also, my favorite character ever is Kaz Brekker. He's in these, he's one of the main characters. It's really amazing. So basically, to summarize this one really quickly, Kaz Brekker is the leader of the Dregs, which is a gang in Ketterdam. And him and his crew are offered a chance at a deadly heist, and it could make him rich beyond his wildest dreams. One thing about Kaz is he's obsessed with money, and he'll do basically anything to get money. He's a criminal prodigy, he can pull off basically anything, but him and his crew have to go on this heist that is nearly impossible even for them. And you get to watch what happens as they go through this crazy heist, and you basically just get to see him and his team go through this and work together, battle people, find enemies. It is really incredible. But if I could recommend any books, it would literally be these two because they're amazing. And next, Crooked Kingdom, which is the second in the duology. So I'm gonna be a little more vague summarizing this because it does come after the other one and I don't want to spoil. So basically after their heist attempt, they are still battling people, they still have enemies because of course they do. They are criminals, lots of people are against them, and a lot of powerful forces are descending onto Ketterdam, which is where they live, and there is a new drug going about called Param, and Param affects the Grisha, which are summoners, I guess you could say, in this universe. There's different types, and they have to find out the secrets of this drug and face this drug. There is a war in the world and there's battles. They all have enemies, and you get to see them go through this and again work together as a team, discover new things. Lots of stuff happens. I know I'm not great at explaining this one, but I can't say too much because a lot of the back cover does spoil what happens in this, so I don't want to spoil it for you guys. Next, I'm going to talk about Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. So this is a young adult romance, and basically the premise of this story is two of the main characters, Liz and Wes, are neighbors, and they were friends as kids, but he always teased her and would prank her, and basically they're enemies now, always pranking each other, always trying to get at each other, and basically constantly just bickering. And now another person who was in their friend group who moved away is recently coming back, Michael, and it is Liz's crush, who she's had a crush on for years, since they were kids. And she is determined to have a magical movie prom with him. So Liz and Wes kind of scheme, and they come up with a plan for her to get her magical moment with Michael. You get to see Liz and Wes spend time together, and as they hang out more and more, you start to realize that maybe they don't hate each other as much, and they get closer and closer. You get to see what happens and how their story ends, and does she get with Michael, does she get with Wes, you get to see. And honestly, that was my first romance I think I've really ever read. It was really cute. I loved it. So, Nothing Like the Movies. I can't really summarize this without spoiling what happens in the other one. So if you don't want to know what happens in this, then skip. I'll put a timestamp on the screen of when I'm done with this book. So basically, this book, Nothing Like the Movies, takes place 2 years after Better Than the Movies. And Wes and Liz were originally going to college together, then tragedy struck and Wes leaves, he breaks Liz's heart, and now they are broken up. But he regrets what he did, so he goes back to college and he's determined to win her back. So you basically get to see him kind of trying to get her back and her reaction to all this, and you get to see everything that happens to see if he's able to get her back or if she's too heartbroken and mad at him to accept his apologies. This one was really good. I loved this one too. It's super cute. Both these books are just so cute and I love them. Now I'm going to be talking about another Lynn Painter book, Betting on You. So basically in this book, Bailey, one of the main characters, finds herself on an airplane with an obnoxious stranger who she can't stand. And this whole flight, they're basically arguing, he's annoying her, and she is having none of it. So years later, when she shows up at her new job, she discovers that he is actually her co-worker, and they still can't stand each other, and you just get to see them kind of how their relationship grows as they work together. And Charlie, who is the annoying guy who she sat with on the plane, insists that members of the opposite sex can't be just friends. So Bailey's determined to prove him wrong, and this whole book you get to see them kind of trying to prove each other wrong and see who is going to win the bet. In addition, Bailey's mom has a new boyfriend and Bailey can't stand the new boyfriend. So Charlie and Bailey come up with a plan to try and get him away and get rid of him. They decide to fake date to kind of disturb the pleasantries between this new guy and Bailey's mom. And as they fake date, you get to see their relationship grow and that maybe they do have feelings for each other and don't see each other as just a friend. And this book, again, super cute. I don't want to say too much more because I don't want to spoil it, but it's really cute. Charlie also has a secret and he made another bet involving Bailey. So you get to see, is she gonna forgive him for that or not? And it's really cute. I definitely recommend this one too. Now for the last series, it's the Good Girls Guide to Murder series by Holly Jackson. I read these 3 in like 2 weeks about, it felt like. I loved these. I went through them so fast. I watched the show first and then read the books. So quickly I'm gonna summarize the books. So the first one, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, you get to see Pip, who is doing her kind of end-of-year senior project, and she decides that she is going to solve the murder that happened in her town 5 years previous because she doesn't think that the police solved it correctly, and she thinks that Sal, who everyone thinks killed Andy, is innocent, and she wants to prove this. So she investigates a bunch of things, a bunch of people, and she discovers a ton of secrets in her town, and you just get to go through her digging through history and things that have happened in her town to to solve this case properly because she doesn't believe that the police did find who actually killed Andy. Now, the next book, Good Girl Bad Blood, happens a bit later, and Pip has finally finished with her research and investigation, and she vows that she is not going to do it anymore because it basically made her lose herself and it took a lot out of her. But one of her best friend's brothers goes missing, and she initially says no. She says she's done researching, but eventually she gives in and decides again to investigate this case and try and find who or where her brother went. So she follows clues and again unravels many things in her town, and you basically get to see her go searching for her friend's brother and see what other secrets she finds. Now, the last book, As Good as Dead, happens a bit after the second book, and Pip is basically used to getting death threats and hate mail because of her viral podcast. She made a podcast about the 2 other books, basically of the cases and what she found. But eventually, the threats escalate from what she's used to, and she realizes similarities between her threat she's getting and a serial killer, but the serial killer was arrested years previous. So she basically tries to convince herself that it's not the serial killer, but inevitably, she researches it. And you get to see what happens and see if she finds him first or if he finds her first, and it's really, like, I was on the edge of my seat reading this. It's amazing. You get to see a lot more intense things of her researching a serial killer and the things she goes through and things that happen. It's honestly incredible. I really recommend this. So that is all for now. I don't have many other books to recommend. That was mainly all of the ones that I would really recommend, but I will make another video once I have more books that I want to recommend. If you have any books that you want to recommend me based off of these, I would love that because I am looking for new books for sure to read. So if you have any, please recommend them. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Bye!